Hello to all my evildoers out there, and welcome to a show that is going to be something totally awesome yet unexpected to come about on this channel. Before I begin, let me introduce myself. See, I'm not this Mike that all of you knew before. I am actually Earth 3's Mike, or shall I say called Darkseid. And I am here to do a comic review because normally you would see Chris do his comic reviews and all that other stuff, but in a sneaky-ish way, maybe I might have, maybe took his camera and the comic books to review, and he'll have to wait until I am finished so he could do his normally regular comic review. So this is actually my comic review of 201.1. And yeah, so he's not going to be getting this until I am finished. So the comic books I'll be talking about in this awesome review are the comic books that were released this month of September 4th, 2013. But before we get into the villain books, let's get into some good guy books. Starting with this one, Sonic the Hedgehog, issue number 252. For those of you who may know about Sonic the Hedgehog, he's a little blue hedgehog that goes around with his friends and does all good deeds. And you know how I feel about good deeds. So he's just fighting off against this big robotic machine with tails. And we actually get introduced to a villain who goes by the name of Nugus, who is an ex-wizard. And didn't really find me as a thrilling character because he just left the scene 1, 2, 3. And we don't know really why, because of all this past memory he went through. So Sonic and Tails are working together as friends with each other, whereas Dr. Eggman is in this as well. He only appears for like 2 pages and that's it. So Sonic has a way of defeating the machine, and I'm not going to tell you why, because you guys, if you want to, pick up this comic book. And we actually find out that Sonic and Tails are going on a mission to save this girl named Sally. And she, from what I'm seeing, is no longer a robot. So if you want more explanation of what King Acorn said about it, you can check it out in this issue if you want to. So yeah, but since this is a good guy book, let's go to the next one, which actually is from Marvel, which is the End of XFactor, part 6 of 6 of XFactor, issue number 262. Now, I'm guessing Mike's probably wanting, like, saying, oh, this comic book is ending, and I hate it's going, blah, blah, blah. Get a grip, Mike. So, in this comic book, since curiosity killed the cat, I want to find out why this is the last issue. So as I'm reading, starts off where we get introduced to, well, not introduced, we get Layla and Tri-P who are there. Layla is pregnant while Tri-P's telling her about the something that's going to happen, like mutants taking over the world or something. So it should sound a little bit interesting, but it's the end of the issue, so there's nothing that much interesting that's going to happen in the end of the story. So she has her boyfriend named Jamie, who is possessed by a demon from the Hell on Earth War, which don't know where I was to read that story. And there's a big dialogue where she tells Jamie that she's pregnant, where the police forces come in, and Teresa came in to the picture and changed Jamie from a devil back to normal, which is really strange because he was this devil, now he's back to normal. And then in the end, he's just saying that there's no more of this team called XFactor. They're just going to raise their child and be anything else. Was interesting until the end, where I guess it's not going into the evilish direction, but it was pretty good, even for that, and I give credit for the person that wrote XFactor. And now, evildoers, we go into DC Comics of Villains Month. My wonderful favorite thing about this review, starting with Grodd issue number 1 from The Flash, issue number 23.1. And what I'm going to do with these Villains Month is that I'm just going to discuss a little bit of the origin, show you guys some artwork, and recommend whether you buy his comic book or not. But it's Villains Month, so technically I'm going to recommend these books. So, it starts off where at Central Park, the gorillas are honoring the superhero right here, Flash, for protecting them from all this stuff that happened after Grodd's attack. They also have this interesting thing where it talks about the Darwinism and evolution, and at first I was like, boring. But then Grodd shows up, and now it gets interesting. Like, it's not an origin story, like, he just came out of nowhere, and he's like saying, you know, Flash is dead, I'm your king, and you'll all bow down to me, or you could work for me. Because if you, either you're for me, or you're against me. So, many people tried stopping Grodd, and he's unstoppable. And you cannot stop him, because, you know, artwork is fantastic, I will say. And basically throughout this whole book, it just talks about how, you know, either you stand with me or not, and then he tries to get his gorilla people to go with him, which he does in some sort of way, with mind control. And basically that's how the whole book summed up to be, and you know, and the reason why, stupid damn light, how dare you interrupt me while I'm reviewing this comic book? Technologies these days, boy, I tell you. Anyway, going back into the comic book, so all I could say is, excluding the whole Darwinism of evolution, I really like this comic book. But up to you guys, you want to pick it up, but you don't want to mess with the king known as Gorilla Grodd, is all I'm going to say. So the next comic book is Dessade, or Dessade, I think, number 1, from Earth 2, 15.1. Now this comic book is going to be very, very interesting as the origin story. First of all, the artwork is another amazing artwork, actually. So, long story short, it just talks about, like, how he does, like, how he controls people's minds and possessing people to do stuff that normally they wouldn't do, which is very, very evilish. And that's what I really like about this comic book. Just all the evil and the carnage and, you know, just all that. I mean, you gotta look at this. I mean, this is just amazing issue right here. Well, one of them, because there's still more. And basically he works on a experiment on this big guy right here. And there are lots more dialogue you can see where he bows down to the Lord of all Evil's Darkseid. Kind of sounds almost like Dark Rise to me, but it's dark either way. But it was a great story about learning about Dessade and how you know, no superheroes are featured in this comic book, and that's why I'm liking these villain books. You know, without the superheroes getting in the way, you like the villains, and that's what I like about it. Great story. Up to you guys if you want to pick this up, but it's just really amazing. Like this comic book right here, Poison Ivy #1 from Batman Detective Comics 23.1 in 3D. I mean, it's Poison Ivy. Who wouldn't want a 3D cover? Wink, wink. Poison Ivy talks about her origin story of how she talks to plants and how she became how she was. So she lived with her family. Her father was abusive and all that other stuff. And talks about how she learned to talk to plants as far as using them for the worst, which is what villains do. Us villains do. We don't use it for any type of good whatsoever. And she also uses this kiss of death, where she kisses you, then you die, and there's no way of coming back to life. And there's also this thing where she has a talk with Bruce Wayne about her plans of what she wanted to do for all humankind, and Bruce Wayne just declines it, so that was a stupid move he did. And basically, yeah, the Green Kingdom belongs to Poison Ivy. So this was actually really amazing, and I'm actually thinking, if I were to call Poison Ivy, maybe she could plant some plants to keep all the good people away. Maybe I'll make a call to her to keep all the good people out. No good people are allowed on my playground, so to say. Next comic book is Deadshot #1 from Justice League of America, issue number 7.1. This guy here reminds me of actually from the Punisher, who is from Marvel Comics, but unlikely there is something about this person that's not like the Punisher. Talks about his origin of how his mother, father, and sister died, and he wanted to go out to fight the Mafia to avenge their death. But unlike the Punisher, he will only kill to get paid in that sort of matter. And here's some artwork of Deadshot. And the lovely Amanda Waller appears in this issue as well, because he has a mission that he does. And this guy is just all over the place and just looking for revenge and stuff like that. And when he hears ka-ching, out goes him to kill some more. And yeah, so this was a great issue that I liked reading, as well as knowing about the villain, which is mostly what this review is about. I recommend you pick this up, and for those of you who like the Punisher, you could pick it up if it reminds you of him, but in my opinion, Deadshot's way better than Punisher. It always will be. Okay, next comic book is Darkseid #1 from Justice League 23.1 in 3D. And just to keep this short of this review, he is known as the Lord of Everybody, with not believing in praying. I mean, who really does? I mean, does anyone? I mean, he has a point there. And there's this, with artwork's phenomenally amazing. And it just talks about his origin of how he became to be, along with, you know, fighting people. And also Kaio talks a little bit about herself and about Darkseid, with fighting everybody. And, I mean, it was kind of interesting to know about Darkseid being like the evil lord of everyone, even taking over the Justice League, which I heard they're presumed to be dead. Let's just hope we could keep it that way for a while. And yeah, he's just a mad god, Darkseid. So yeah, so I loved reading this actually, with learning his origin story, because mostly some of the villains books talk about origin stories, but yeah, in 3D, Darkseid #1, definite pickup for that. According to also this one, Bizzaro #1 from Superman 23.1 as a 3D cover. This comic book talks about, really it focuses on Lex Luthor, the evil genius, which I would love to call somebody that could one day maybe get rid of Superman once and for all. So it talks about how he made a Superman clone using some DNA from Superman, and he uses it on this guy Bobby, who uses this experiment. Artwork is perfectly drawn to perfection, and lots of crazy stuff happens in the laboratory, and Lex Luthor, I like how when his experiment goes to failure, he always picks himself up to make something even more evilish and more like a threat to crime. And that's what I like about Lex Luthor. I really look up to him as a great role model in this comic book. Just definite. If you want to read something that's excellent, Bizzaro #1 will be definite pickup. Those of you like me who admire Lex Luthor and his awesomeness creation. Okay, the Creeper #1 from Justice League Dark, issue number 23.1. The Creeper, his is almost like Dessade, but a little bit differently. It does talk about his origin story of how he lost his family in a tornado, and it shows him becoming the Oni demon with Katana sword, or so it is, Katana sword that does all the Soul Keeper. There's a lot of dialogue which I bothered to read just a little bit because we villains don't have enough time to read long dialogues. But beside the point, long and short, he was trapped inside the sword, whereas one day he has released himself from the sword from someone who have broken the sword. Artwork was great to look at. Every little bit of a second. It's always great to look at. And he goes off to have a body to take over. And he chooses Jack Ryder, who is a newscaster, to go forth and traumatize many, many, many more people. And it happened actually in San Francisco, where he talks about a news that happened of what's going on in the city, and this guy, how he does it, taking over people's minds, is just amazing. I admire his possessionness and everything of doing that as his story. So he causes trouble in the city and causes havoc and everything, and what I like about it, no superhero here to stop him. Nope. All disaster and mayhem, and yeah, definite and great read of the Creeper #1 from Justice League Dark. Besides, Justice League Dark team would slow them down anyway if they went there, so no need for that team. Moving on to this interesting character, Relic #1 from Green Lantern, issue number 23.1, which actually, I hear this character is going to lead to the Lights Out series that's happening in Green Lantern, so well played, Relic. Very well played. So, long story short, it just talks about his origin story of how he worked with the Lightsmiths so to say. Yeah, the power of the emotional spectrum of them. And he has a wicked team right here. But unfortunately, the locksmiths didn't live that long because of some stuff that happened. So he just goes to explore more of what energy he could absorb. I mean, the artwork is just too beautiful. It's just so, like, realistic. Like, I was actually right there in the book, working side by side. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's just so realistic and so violent too, you know? And it does show, of course, one of the Green Lanterns there, but I think it doesn't have no power over Relic, because looks like he awoken and will take over from here. So, wishing him good luck, because he is going to cause all the lights out and everything. But Relic's an interesting character if you want to read about him. And for those of you who are going to pick up Lights Out for the Green Lantern comic book, definite pickup. So far, not one disappointment yet. Here's someone that's new to me in the comic book. So Count Vertigo #1 from Green Arrow, issue number 23.1. A helicopter. First the light, now the helicopter. Well, if they're looking for me, they ain't gonna find me. So, just because some of this may be new to all of you of this villain, I'm gonna expand just a little tiny bit on it. And if Mike doesn't like it, well, that's just too bad, because he's somewhere else right now. So it starts off in Canada, where before he was Count Vertigo, he was known as Count Dessade, so to say. And his origin story is talking to his mother, where they got kicked out of Valatalva because they killed his father. And she was saying like how he's a great man and next in line to be king, and he fought, you know, like he gave blood for his country and everything. And he just said, you know, she just said like she doesn't like how he protected her son and everything, but mother wasn't always caring, but oh well. So the mother actually does something very awesome. He sends him to a special hospital where he has a special ability. The ability to control minds. And hurt painfully too. Of course, you didn't think that he would just use it just to cause like all flowers and everything to grow out of the ground now, do you? No. So, he goes to Dr. Witchell and tells him that you're not going to tell me how to rule me because I rule me, and he kills him. And he just works all by himself, and I love this character. Admire his way of just controlling people's mind and saying, you don't rule me, I rule you. Very villainous right there. So, he got the name of Count Vertigo, where he controls the mind. He met his mother in the place where he kept her, because he was keeping her there to punish her for all the stuff that she's done. I mean, what'd the mother do? I mean, she just did what she did in the past. I mean, there was nothing wrong, but with all his final decision making, he wound up killing his mother. And now he goes to Seattle in a mood for a fight against Green Arrow. So Count Vertigo, I didn't really know about him until I read this comic book, because there are some familiar characters that I knew about, but Count Vertigo had to be one of them, and it's being stubborn wouldn't go in. It's a comic book. Would I say pick this up? I would say pick this up. If you were confused as I was about Count Vertigo #1, then pick it up. Because That's a character that's sick and twisted in the mind, which is what I like. Next comic book is Ventriloquist #1 from Batman The Dark Knight, issue number 23.1. Now this story actually talks about how she has a puppet that she works with. And she does talk about her origin story of how she became the Bee, where her brother got everything and she never got nothing, long story short. And she just took actions upon her own hand and has a special technique and a special power of that. And you know, she met the puppet by this clown right here. Artwork looks really great. And that's how she became the ventriloquist. But there was something about the doll that really made me say, wow, this doll, I mean, it had nail coming out of his 2 palm hands just to get rid of these people that were interfering with her show. And the puppet loves show business, and if I had a puppet of my own to keep people away, I would ask Ventriloquist if she has any in mind that I could use, or 10 or 20, anything to keep the good people away. But yeah, Ventriloquist #1, I would say pick this up. I mean, it is also another twisted book, but if you're a villain like me, you'll love it. And if you're not a villain, then you won't love it. But it's up. It is the Villains Month. We all just love villains. Like this next guy right here, Two-Face #1 from Batman and Robin, issue number 23.1. A coin that he has of heads or tails to determine life or death, all depending on the coin. Basically, that's what this story really talks about. It doesn't have an origin story. He just talks about an offer that Scarecrow makes to him. And heads or tails, they wind up working together. And he also comes across this coin right here, which I believe was used in the Trinity War with Dr. Light, if I remember. And it says the coin, let them hate as long as they fear. Okay. So he uses that coin to determine people who live and people who die. All determined by the coin. And talks about like just the artwork is just one of those artworks where it's very detailed with some dialogue, and it just gets so gruesome where people go to the courtroom and one by one with a drop of a coin he just shoots them all. Just that's it. So thanks for coming, is what he's saying. So he's now going to decide on making the city bleed. So, also like the part in the back where he has good old our superhero Batman tied up. But yeah, Two-Face is a two-way coin. Heads, should you pick it up, or tails? Yeah, you should pick it up, heads or tails. I don't have a coin with me, so I'm gonna have to borrow from Two-Face one day if I'm gonna do a review like this in the future. Next is Joker #1, Batman from the Batman issue number 23.1, 3D. And Joker is actually a little bit of a disappointment. Not a lot, just a little bit. Like, it does talk about his origin story where he had a really rough childhood of going through his memory. And the only weird part about this story is that he adopts a monkey. Really, Joker? A monkey? Aren't you supposed to be going out and doing your crazy laughing gas stuff? That's why thought I was going to read in this comic book. But long story short, he does good deeds for the monkey, like he's his own son, like the mother didn't do for him. And I like how it shows how he showed his monkey, Jackanapes, he named it. And they work on a crime together and, you know, and everything else, but the end didn't go so well for Jackanapes, and Joker's laughing about that. I mean, come on, you had to see this coming. You didn't think that he would turn over a new leaf just because he had a monkey now, do you? I didn't think so either. But with lots of laughs, you'll get a laugh out of Joker #1. Because I sure as hell laughed when he was with a monkey, but kind of weird, if I say so myself. Cyborg Superman #1 from Superman Action Comics, issue number 23.1 in 3D. He's a cyborg. Half robot, half human. What do you expect? But he's actually Jor-El's brother from where we get from here of Zor-El. And Zor-El is the father of Kara, who is Supergirl. So he's trying to help Jor-El with stuff. Well, actually, Jor-El wanted Zor-El to help him with stuff, but that didn't really work out so well because he hated being told what to do. And Cyborg Superman, he's just wrecking carnage everywhere with excellent artwork. You know, with the aliens, and just kills them. That's what I love about him. He's not your Superman, he's your Cyborg Superman. And you'll respect him. With lots of explosions, and it goes back and forth with the story of how Zor-El became to be Cyborg Superman. And this issue, I really loved it. The whole universe is his, and there's nobody that could stop him. At this point, there's no superhero that could stop any villain whatsoever, period. But this one, guys, you could pick it up if you're interested in Jor-El's brother's origin story, or should I say Zor-El. And now we leave the best for last from DC Comics. Forever Evil #1, Meet the New World Order. Kind of ironic that I'm wearing the shirt. Comic World Order, New World Order. Very, very awesome. Lots of darkness, too. Forever Evil. The title says it all. It's lots of stuff where the Justice League are dead. Yeah. And Lex is forming a so-called team to go after, like to do evil stuff. But then we get Grid, who appears, and Nightwing appears in this comic book. So I'm saying, uh-oh, a superhero? What's going on here? So they actually one up on Nightwing, and there's a special team that appears, and I'm going to show you this as a full cover, and they are known as the Crime Syndicate. Now, you may ask yourselves, Dark Rise, are the Crime Syndicate good guys or bad guys? What do you think? They're villains, but they don't work with the other villains because they like to work by themselves, which is what I like. And there's lots and lots of dialogue, lots of stories of how Manti got Aquaman's Trigon, and it says it right here. The Crime Syndicate said Justice League are dead. So, yeah. Don't think they'll be coming back anytime soon. Or ever, so to say. Artwork is great. They do reveal Nightwing's of who his true identity is. So, well played, Crime Syndicate. Very well played. And ends up here saying, where's Superman? Well, the Crime Syndicate just said, they're dead. Get over it. You were the one that wanted to kill them, and well, you got your wish. And that was your wish. So Forever Evil #1, out of all the villains, I would say that this would be my best comic book of the week. Next to probably Deadshot and everything else, but I'll probably save that for the live show, which is going to be another interesting week of all darkness and everything. And that, everybody, is my first review of comic books of 201.1. I hope all of you enjoyed this wonderful hour of darkness, or however many minutes of darkness this was. And, oh, don't worry. This won't be the last you see of Dark Rise. I'll be around for probably a long time. Just remember, CWO is here. Comic World Order. And I'm here to spread all the evilish everywhere. Because that's what I do. So, I'm Dark Rise. And this is my first comic book review. And to all my villain goers and doers out there, I will see you guys next time. Stay bad and stay evil. I will see you guys later.